So now we got to talk about Hillary Clinton, who has popped out of the woodwork and come back onto the scene because we all missed her so much. We all missed hearing from sweet, delightful old Hillary. And she came on MSNBC for a wide-ranging interview with Rachel Maddow, where she suggested that Americans who spread propaganda or Russian talking points should face some form of legal sanction, either civil or even criminal, which would suggest imprisonment. You don't have to take my word for it. Here it is, straight from Hillary's mouth.
Republicans go to the floor of the Congress and they parrot Russian talking points. So I think it's important to indict the Russians, just as Mueller indicted a lot of Russians who were engaged in direct election interference and boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence, because the Russians are unlikely, except in a very few cases, to ever stand trial in the United States. You know, they're not going to be going to a country where they can be extradited or even returning to the United States unless they are very foolish. So I think we need to uncover all of the connections and make it very clear that you could vote however you want. But we are not going to let adversaries, whether it is Russia, China, Iran, or anybody else, basically try to influence Americans as to how we should vote in picking our leaders.
So I have a lot to say about this. I struggle to even know where to begin. But first, there's really no denying one basic point, which is that Hillary Clinton still seems incredibly bitter and salty over losing in 2016. And she still seems to be clinging to this farcical notion that the reason she lost was because of memes that Russian bots spread on Facebook, when in reality that had very minimal impact. And Hillary, you lost because of you, because of your bad campaign tactics, neglecting states like Michigan, because of your baggage that could fill an entire carousel at the airport, because of your unlikable nature and your attempt to flip-flop and be all things to all people, and just so many other problems that ultimately come back to you. But she really does seem to be in denial and to be coping and trying to still tell herself that it was all because of Russia, Russia this, Russia that. Obviously, they did try to meddle in the 2016 election, but they were largely ineffective. And they spread cringe memes to boomers on Facebook. When you look at the numbers, they sound big, but when you actually look at them in the context of social media, they're an absolute drop in the ocean and had very little impact at all. So it's all a bunch of cope. It's pathetic that almost a decade later, she's still out here this salty and this in denial about her own role in her defeat. But it is what it is. And I guess I can't say I'm shocked. What's more, it's not really shocking to me, but what's more disturbing to me is the authoritarian impulse that Hillary Clinton still clearly has, where she suggests that people who repeat or argue propaganda or Russian talking points should face legal sanction, either civil or criminal. That is totally inconsistent with free speech. That's totally inconsistent with our First Amendment, which absolutely protects the right to say information or arguments that are false or that some might consider propaganda, or even to advocate for things that are in line with the viewpoint of the Russian government. All of that is protected by the First Amendment, which means none of it can be subjected to civil or criminal penalties in the kind of way she clearly has in mind. Obviously, it's a little bit different if people are working directly with the Russian government, but that becomes not about speech. People are allowed to have whatever opinions they want, even if those opinions align with Vladimir Putin on something like Ukraine, or if they really oppose Zelensky, or if they think the Ukraine government's really corrupt, or they don't want to fund Ukraine, or any of that. Those are their opinions, babe, and they're allowed to have them in a free country. The fact that you want to sanction people legally for that is dystopian and disturbing. And hilariously ironic on multiple levels, coming from Hillary Clinton of all people. To hear Hillary Clinton of all people, who spent most of her career supporting U.S. attempts at regime change in other countries, act like it is such a unique horror that other countries would try to influence our elections is just hilarious. I mean, the call is coming from inside the house, babe. I agree that I don't want the Russian government influencing our election, but you have literally toppled governments and replaced them with US puppets in other countries. So I don't know that you're on the strongest ground to be making that argument, Hillary. And in the same way, Hillary Clinton, like most politicians, has lied about many things over the years and spread many false arguments that could be labeled propaganda. I mean, she lied over and over. Even the liberal-leaning fact checkers at PolitiFact, at the Washington Post have pointed this out. She lied over and over about classified information on her laptop in that whole scandal over her emails. That could easily be described as propaganda, blatant lies in pursuit of a political agenda. Should she be prosecuted for it? Should she face civil penalties for it? Of course, I don't think so. Now, I mean, maybe the underlying criminal activity of mishandling classified information, but not just lying to the public and saying things that aren't true as a politician. I don't support criminalizing that, but apparently she does. And gosh, I just wish these people would think 5 steps ahead. Do you really want a future President Trump potentially, or if not that, then another Republican in the future, to have the power to criminalize propaganda? How is that going to work out for the network you're speaking on, MSNBC, which puts out a lot of what its critics would call propaganda, attacking Republicans and simping for Democrats? Now, I support their right to do that unobstructed, but if you don't, you're kidding yourself if you think that's only going to be used one way, or that's only going to be used to target Republicans or Fox News or whatever. That's never how this works out. To me, this clip just showed that Hillary Clinton hasn't changed, and she hasn't learned any lessons from the many mistakes and pitfalls of her pathetic political career. What do you guys think? Are you happy that we still get to hear from Hillary from time to time? Let me know in the comments below.